So far in our prompt engineering lessons, we covered two prompt engineering techniques called zero shot and one shot. In this video, we are going to learn another technique called few shot prompting. If you are new to prompt engineering concepts, I recommend you to watch the previous lessons first and then come to this lesson. The link of the previous lessons are available in the description of this video. Let's begin this lesson on the few shot prompt technique. In 2020, researchers at OpenAI published this paper called Language Models Are Few Shot Learners. The motivations of this paper were the key challenges they saw when they were trying to fine-tune the language models for every task. The three key limitations were: number one, the need for a large data set of labeled examples for every new task limits the applicability of language models. Number two, the performance of the fine-tuned models on specific benchmarks. Even when it is normally at human level, many amplify actual performance on the underlying tasks. And number three, which says humans do not require large supervised datasets to learn most language tasks. Humans just requires some brief description in natural language or just a tiny number of demonstrations is often sufficient for a human to perform a new task competently. Therefore, they came up with this technique called few shot prompt technique. In few shot prompt technique, language models are provided with a few set of examples, maybe 2, 5 or 10, depending on the complexity of the tasks. This is how few shot prompt structure looks like. So the prompt is basically divided into three parts. Number one, where we provide the task instructions. Number two, where we provide set of examples. These examples helps the language models to understand the task specific nuances. And number three is the cue for the model, where we provide the actual problem statement. These are some of the real world use cases where few shot prompt technique can be used. In this lesson, we are also going to implement some of these use cases. Few shot prompting is a powerful technique when dealing with language models, but it has its own limitations. Towards the end of this lesson, we are going to learn a use case and we will demonstrate how few shot prompts fail. We will also talk about what is the solution when few shot prompting is not helpful. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive into this lesson. So let us install OpenAI libraries because we are going to use OpenAI models and their APIs. Then we shall import the libraries. We are using OpenAI API and their model. Therefore, we need OpenAI API key. If you do not have your API key, then you need to create your account on OpenAI and generate your API key first. You can search on Google how to generate OpenAI API key and you will get the required information. I have generated my OpenAI API key and configured it inside Google Colab secrets here. So this is my OpenAI API key. So you can also create your OpenAI API key on OpenAI website and then you can configure it here. Here, I'm using userdata.get function to get my API key from the Colab account and storing it in this local variable, my secret key. Now we need to initialize a client for interacting with OpenAI API. So this part of the code is calling the constructor of the OpenAI class from the OpenAI library. This constructor creates a new client object that can communicate with the OpenAI API. Here, API underscore key is where you need to assign your API key. Then I have this helper function. Let me explain this helper function. So this line defines a function named get underscore response, which takes two parameters called messages and model. Model is where we are setting GPT 3.5 turbo model because this is what we are going to use. This messages is expected to be a list of message objects formatted according to the requirements of the OpenAI API. So this messages will hold the system prompt and the user prompt. Now let us understand this part of this helper function. This part of the code is where the function interacts with the OpenAI API using the client object. So this is our client object. Using this client object, we are calling chat.completions.create API from OpenAI library. Here we are assigning this model to the model, which is GPT 3.5 turbo. And in the messages, we are assigning our messages which we are passing here. Then max token, we are setting it to 2000. The model will generate up to 2000 tokens in its response. This temperature, which we are setting 0.2, it controls the randomness of the output. A lower temperature like 0.2 results in more deterministic and less random response, making them more predictable and conservative. And finally, this function will return the content generated by this model, GPT 3.5 Turbo. Okay, so now our setup is ready. Let us try to implement our use cases. This is the first use case, which is legal document analysis. Here, the task is to extract key clauses and information from legal contracts. Let us see how few-shot prompt look like for this case. So we know that in few-shot prompt techniques, there are three parts in the prompt. So the first part is basically the task instruction. So here we are trying to set the role for the model. We are saying you act as a legal document analyzer, and then we are saying that your task is to extract key clauses and information from legal contracts. After the task instruction, in few short prompting, we have to provide few examples. So here we are providing two examples. Now, if you see the examples, this is the first example where for this contract, this is how model should extract the key clauses. This is the second example where for this contract, this is how the model should extract the key clauses. So these are the set of examples. So we provided the task, which is the part one of the prompt. Then we provided set of examples, which is the part two of the prompt. And the third part of the prompt is providing Q to the model, which is the actual task. So this is the contract. And then we are asking model to generate the key clauses. Let us initialize this prompt. Now we are initializing a message list, and in the message list, we are appending the system prompt and user prompt, and then we are calling the get response helper function. So let us execute this. And then this is the key clauses model has extracted for this legal contract. Okay, very well. Let us move to the next use case. The next use case which we are going to implement using few short prompting is customer support automation. Here the task is to classify and respond to customer support tickets. Let us see how the prompts look like. Here, this is the task instruction. So first we are setting the role for the model, and then we are providing the task instruction. We are saying your task is to classify and respond to customer support tickets. And then in few short, as we know, we need to provide some examples. So in this case, we are providing these three examples. Now the example is such that we have this ticket, like the user complained, and then this is how the classification to be done. And then this is how models would generate the response for this ticket. So this is one example, and this is the second example where again for this ticket, this is how the classification should be done, and this is how models would generate the response. Then we have this third example where for this ticket, this is how the model should classify, and then this is the response model should generate. So in the prompt for few short, we have part one, then we have part two where we provide the set of examples, and in the part three where we provide the queue to the model, which is basically the actual task, and then we leave the model to generate the remaining part of the response. So let us run this piece of the code where we will have our message list created, then we will append the system prompt and the user prompt, and then call the get response function. Okay, so this was the task, like I'm unable to cancel my order, and user provided the order number. Now for this ticket, the model did the classification and classified this under order cancellation issue, which is perfectly fine. And the response which model has generated says that we apologize for inconvenience. Please provide us with the details of your order and then the order number, and we will assist you in canceling it. And this response is perfectly fine for the user query. Okay, moving next, the third use case which we are going to implement using few short prompting is financial report summarization. Here, the task is to summarize key points from financial reports. Let us see how prompt looks like. Again, in the prompt, first we have the task instruction, and then we are providing set of examples. And then in the user prompt, we are providing a report and asking model to generate the summary for this report. So let us run this. And again, we will initialize a message list, append the system prompt and user prompt in the message list, and call our get response function. And this is the summary the model has generated following the instructions provided and also following the learning out of these examples which we provided as part of few-shot prompt. Moving next, the other use case, which is medical information extraction. Here the task is to extract patient information from medical reports. Now let us see the prompt. Again, in the prompt, we are setting the task instruction. Then we are providing few examples so that model will learn how to generate the response. And then we are providing the actual report where now we are expecting model to generate the information. So let us initialize this. Same thing, we are initializing a message list, then we are appending the system prompt and the user prompt, and then we are calling our get response function. So this is the information the model has extracted following the provided instructions and following the set of examples which we provided as part of prompt. Perfect. There are many more use cases like content generation for marketing, recipe generation, sentiment analysis with context, translation with cultural nuances, personalized email responses, log analysis. So you can go through these use cases and you will be able to understand the concept of few-shot prompt technique and how to use them. While few-shot prompting is a powerful technique for guiding language model to perform specific tasks, it can sometimes fail. So we cannot say that using few-shot prompt technique, we can solve any problem or we can implement any use cases. Here we are going to take one example use case where we are going to demonstrate how few-shot prompt technique will fail, and then we will see how to solve those problems where few-shot prompting is not helpful. So here is a task example where the task is to reverse the word lollipop. Now, this is a very simple task for human, and looking at this task, we could say that language model should be able to solve this very easily, even without having few shot prompting. It should solve with zero shot prompting or max one shot prompting. So let us see. So we start with zero shot. Now in the zero shot prompting, this is our prompt instruction. So we are saying reverse this word lollipop. Now let us initialize this prompt. Then initialize our message list and just append this prompt in the message list and call our helper function and see the model response. Now, here we can see that model is not able to generate the reverse of the word lollipop because here you see there is a mistake. So zero shot prompt technique is not good enough. Let us try with one shot. Now in the one shot, we are providing one example to the model. So we are saying your task is to reverse the word, and then we are providing one example that reverse this word tip top. And if you reverse this word, so this is what you get. And then we are providing our actual words that, okay, reverse this word lollipop, and we are leaving this for the model to generate the response. Let us initialize our message list and append this system prompt and the user prompt in the message list and call our get response helper function and see the result. No change in the result. So even with one shot prompt technique, model is not able to reverse this word. Let us try with few shot. Now here in the few shot, now instead of providing one example, we are providing three examples. Okay, so these are the three examples where we are saying reverse this word tip top. So this is the reversed word. Reverse this word King Kong. This is the reversed word for King Kong. And this is the reverse word for Kit Kat. And then we are saying reverse this word lollipop. Now let us see how few shot prompting is delivering the response. Still no luck. So still model is not able to reverse this word correctly. Okay, so far no luck. Even with the few shot prompt technique, we can see that model is not able to reverse this word correctly. Let us try to add some more example in the few shot. So now here we will add few more examples. So we'll go up to 5 examples. Okay, and then this is our actual problem statement. Let us initialize this prompt and then call our get response function. Still no luck. So still model is not able to reverse this word. Let us try few shot with different prompts. So here we will modify our prompt a bit. So the task instruction remain the same, but in the example we are going to just keep it something like this. So this is the word, this is the reversed word. For this word, this is the reverse word. For this word, this is the reverse word, and so on. So now we are adding 10 examples. This is the word which we want model to reverse. So let us initialize this and initialize a message list, and then in the message list, let us append the system prompt and the user prompt and call our get response function. Now here we can see that still no luck and model is not able to reverse this word. So for this particular use case, our few shot prompting is not delivering the expected result. Now, why did few shot prompting is failing? The first is the model limitation. So we are using GPT 3.5 Turbo, which is not able to deliver this use case. And this may be because this GPT 3.5 Turbo may lack the capacity to correctly generalize the task from the provided examples. And then the second one could be the complexity of generalization. The task for reversing a word might seem straightforward for human, but the model's ability to understand and apply the pattern consistently may be limited by its architecture and training data. So to say when few-shot prompting works and when few-shot prompting fails, we can safely say that few-shot prompting works well for the tasks where the pattern is simple and easily generalizable. It can fail when the task requires a deeper understanding or more sophisticated pattern recognition than the model can provide. Now, to fix such problem or to deliver such use cases, one approach is to shift to a more sophisticated model or a better model. Now, in this case, we were using GPT 3.5 Turbo. Let us try to change this model to GPT 4 Turbo and see the result. So in our helper function, now we have replaced the model to GPT-4 Turbo. So we will initialize our helper function and we will attempt the same problem with zero-shot prompting first. So this is the zero-shot prompting that reverse this word lollipop. Then let us run this piece of the code and bam. So now just with zero-shot prompting, GPT-4 Turbo is able to do this task. Now, why GPT-4 Turbo succeeds? Two reasons. Number one, the GPT-4 Turbo has a more advanced architecture, enabling it to understand and generalize patterns more effectively. And the second is the improved training data. The model has been trained on a large and more diverse data set, enhancing its ability to handle a wide range of tasks. So, as per the thumb rule, we can say that when we are trying with the models where few-shot prompting is not helping, we can safely shift to a better model and then again try with zero shot prompting. If doesn't work, then you can try with one shot prompting, and if that also doesn't work, then you can try with few shot prompting. So this is the path you should follow. Okay, so this is it for this lesson. I will provide the link of this notebook in the description section. You can just play around and you can explore the use cases which we discussed, and you can also explore the remaining use cases which are there in this notebook. And in the next video, we are going to talk about another prompt engineering technique called chain of thought prompting.